7 new COVID-19 cases detected. Serious action needed on environmental issues. You're watching the evening edition of News on 2. I'm Adrian Seat. The Health Ministry today confirms another 7 new cases of COVID-19 in Malaysia. This brings the country's total number of cases to 36. According to the statement that was shared on Twitter, there are 14 cases that are being treated at Sungai Buloh and Kuala Lumpur hospitals. It also said that all patients are in stable condition. Malaysia's COVID-19 situation deteriorated just as political uncertainty hit the country. When it had appeared that health authorities were about to fully contain the outbreak, new cases began appearing in larger numbers than before. Globally, the COVID-19 situation has continued to worsen, with 3,125 deaths and 90,925 confirmed infections reported. Director General of Health, Dato Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, today said that he had never issued a statement asking the public to avoid the Pantai and Bangsa areas over the next 10 days due to COVID-19, as was viral on social media. Now, he said the Bernama report, which quoted him as having given such an advice, was inaccurate. The erroneous paragraph was in a Bernama report quoting Dato Dr. Noor Hisham, praising the quick action taken by Pantai Hospital Kuala Lumpur cardiologist Dato Dr. Sanjeev Joshi, who voluntarily distanced himself from the hospital, clinic and family for 14 days. The Director General of Health had said that Dato Dr. Sanjeev, despite being tested negative for COVID-19, quarantined himself during the incubation period, as prevention is better than cure. Dato Dr. Sanjeev was treating a case 29. A 35-year-old woman who shared a room with case 24, who later tested positive for COVID-19. The inaccurate news report sparked concerns amongst residents in the vicinity and those who wanted to go to the hospital and nearby areas. Last night, Bernama corrected the inaccurate news report and issued a note to editors, but several news organizations had already carried the news on their portals. Bernama contacted the respective editors and the news report was removed from their portals. Bernama regrets having released the inaccurate news report. The Ipoh Sessions Court today postponed to 19th of March to decide on an application by Perak Executive Council or EXCO member Paul Yong Chu Kiong for a stay of proceedings of his rape case. Now, Judge Norashima Khalid postponed the matter, which was earlier fixed for today, pending the outcome of Yong's appeal at the federal court for the case to be transferred to the High Court. The judge set the date after hearing submissions from Yong's lawyer, Farhan Sapian. At today's proceeding, Deputy Public Prosecutor Naidatul Athira Azman said the prosecution did not file an affidavit or submissions. Now, prior to this, the Court of Appeal had dismissed Yong's appeal to transfer the case to the High Court, and thus an appeal application has been made at the Federal Court. In August of last year, Yong, who is also Perak Housing, Local Government, Public Transport, Non-Muslim Affairs and New Villages Committee, claimed trial to raping his former 23-year-old Indonesian maid at his house. The act was said to have been committed at a house in Meru Desa Park on the 7th of July between 8:15 p.m. and 9:15 p.m. A tow truck owner was charged at the Kuantan Sessions Court today with voluntarily causing grievous hurt to a policeman by splashing acid on him last week. Now, Aziz Muhammad, 41, however, pleaded not guilty to the charge before Sessions Court Judge Dasuki Ali. Aziz was alleged to have splashed acid on Sergeant Kamarul Zaharin Abdullah, 51, in front of a house in Indra Mahkota, Kuantan at 6:10 p.m. on the 24th of February. He was charged under Section 326 of the Penal Code for voluntarily causing grievous hurt on the policeman and faced an imprisonment for up to 20 years and is liable to fine or whipping if found guilty. The judge allowed him bail of 20,000 ringgit with one surety and ordered him to not intimidate the victim and witnesses. He also set 6th of April for mention. Deputy Public Prosecutor Nasrul Hadi Abdul Ghani prosecuted, while lawyer Dato' Syed Azimal Amir Syed Abu Bakar represented Aziz. An individual was arrested in possession of drugs after he tried to avoid a police roadblock. Pontian Police Chief Superintendent Mustafa Bakri Saleh said the 24-year-old suspect was driving recklessly when he was detained by police. The arrest was made at kilometer 57 of Jalan Johor Bahru, Batu Pahat near Pontian. Now, during the arrest, a police personnel was injured as he was ran over by the suspect who tried to escape.
Hasil pemeriksaan badan suspek, pihak polis telah menemui 5 paket plastik kecil lusinat. Di dalamnya mengandungi ketulan kristal, dipercayai dadah jenis syabu. Suspek juga hasil daripada siasatan kita mempunyai 6 rekod jenayah lampau.
The case is investigated under Section 42 Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act 1987. The Melaka and Negeri Sembilan Maritime detained a suspicious boat in Malaysian waters that was heading towards Indonesia. In a routine operation held near Kuala Sepang at about 10 p.m. yesterday, the Maritime Enforcement Team arrested 22 individuals that were on the boat. Melaka and Negeri Sembilan Maritime Director, Maritime Captain Haris Fazila Abdullah said all detainees were Indonesian nationals. He said further investigations found that the boat did not have any registration numbers and had been transporting passengers in and out of Malaysian waters using uncharted routes. The operation was believed to be run by a local syndicate. All detainees are investigated under Immigration Act 1959-63 and Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants Act 2007. A 41-year-old man who sells motorcycle spare parts was killed after a heated argument with a man. Now, in the incident that occurred at Jalan Perniagaan Century in Simpang Empat on Monday at around 10 p.m., the victim was killed after he was knocked over by a four-wheel drive vehicle. The suspect fled the scene, but the brutal act had been photographed by the public and circulated on social media. It is believed that the suspect drove the victim's car and knocked into the victim multiple times before fleeing the scene. Acting Seberang Perai Tengah Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Mustafa Bidin said initial investigations showed that the four-wheel drive vehicle that killed the victim was registered under his company and was driven away by the suspect after the incident.
Pihak polis ada menerima maklumat daripada saksi di tempat kejadian di mana suspek dipercayai telah menggunakan kereta mangsa untuk melanggar mangsa beberapa kali selepas pergaduhan.
Superintendent Muhammad Mustafa said police were looking for the bespectacled suspect, believed to be male with a dark skin, about 170 centimeters tall with thin curly hair. He added the suspect was wearing a black shirt and jeans at the time of the incident. Kedah Social Security Organisation, or SOCSO, had issued 75 compound notices worth 111,330 ringgit on school canteen operators in the state in the Ob Kesan Perkeso. Now, the two-day operation that was conducted to identify those who went against the Employees Social Security Act 1969, Registration of Business Act 1956 and Companies Act 2015. Kedah SOCSO Director Shaharuddin Walid said many canteen operators failed to show their business registration certificate, name sign and a business number during the operation.
Ya, daftar dia kita bagi kompound ni, kita pun ada bagi kelonggaran jugalah kalau datang buat daftar awal balik dengan Perkeso, dan juga kita akan panggil mereka ke pejabat untuk beri taklimat lah bagaimana untuk bayaran dan apakah faedah-faedah yang disediakan, bagaimana buat tuntutan dan sebagainya.
The operation was also joined by enforcement personnel from Companies Commission Malaysia and Employees Provident Fund. Adli Zahari said he did not resign as the Chief Minister of Melaka. Instead, he was informed that his services as the Chief Minister of the state have been terminated since 4 p.m. yesterday. The Melaka Pakatan Harapan chairman also hopes that the process of power transition would go on smoothly as stipulated under the Constitution.
Memang saya telah dimaklumkan bahawa jawatan saya ditamatkan bermula jam 4 petang dengan arahan pihak atasan. Jadi saya akan melihat balik dari segi struktur perlembagaan. Jadi saya akan merujuk balik di mana ruang yang ada pada saya. Tapi setakat ini memang saya tak melepaskan jawatan. Terpulang macam saya sebut, terpulang kepada mereka yang mempunyai majoriti untuk menentukan ketua menteri mereka sendiri.
Speaking at a Pakatan Harapan press conference at Geraha Amanah in Bukit Katil, Adli also defended his suggestion to dissolve the State Legislative Assembly to pave way for a state snap poll. Now, according to him, the mandate to choose the Chief Minister should be returned to the Rakyat. It was noted that Adli's request to dissolve the State Assembly was rejected by Malacca's governor. In other news, the Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Shah, today expressed the need for adaptation and mitigation acts to be taken and implemented seriously to ensure environmental sustainability. He said every minute that it is postponed is to address environmental issues would further increase the threats to life, health and the future of the environment. Sultan Nazrin said climate change and global warming occurred due to uneven physical development to the point where it could no longer maintain environmental sustainability.
Pokok dan hutan tidak lagi dihargai berdasarkan peranan utama kewujudannya, kerana pokok dan hutan semakin dilihat sebagai bahan komersial menghasilkan kayu dan kawasan hutan dilihat sebagai tanah untuk dijadikan ladang tanaman komersial. Justru itu, kegiatan penebangan hutan terus berleluasa. Didorong nafsu halubah manusia, pembalakan dan penerokaan secara haram semakin berlaku.
He said the serious efforts by China, India and Ethiopia in maintaining environmental sustainability, including intensive tree planting, should be made an example as trees play a role in helping to mitigate climate change and global warming. Speaking at the opening of the state-level National Landscape Day at Laman Budaya Kuala Kangsar, Sultan Nazrin praised the commitment by Tenaga Nasional Berhad or TNB in promoting its environmental conservation program by planting 633 trees in areas under the jurisdiction of the Kuala Kangsar District Council since the past 2 months. He expressed hope that it will reach 10,000 trees in Kuala Kangsar and 100,000 trees statewide by January of 2021, adding that greening Perak Darul Rizwan should be the responsibility of all the people in the state. Coming up next, Bank Negara trims OPR again to 2.5% on COVID-19 impact. Stay with us. That story up next. The Monetary Policy Committee, or MPC, of Bank Negara Malaysia today decided to reduce the overnight policy rate, or OPR, by 2.5 basis points to 2.5% as the COVID-19 outbreak has taken a toll on the economy. Now, the 2.5%, it is at the lowest level since May of 2010. In a statement, it said that the ceiling and floor rates of the corridor of the OPR are correspondingly reduced to 2.75% and 2.25%. Now, the reduction in the OPR is intended to provide a more accommodative monetary environment to support the projected improvement in economic growth amid price stability. BNM foresees the Malaysian economic growth, particularly in the first quarter, will however be affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, primarily in the tourism-related and manufacturing sectors. It noted that the 2020 economic stimulus package will provide some support to economic activity. The MPC will continue to monitor and assess the balance of risks surrounding the outlook for domestic growth and inflation. The Malaysian economy grew at a moderate pace of 4.3% in 2019. Household spending is expected to grow at a slower pace amid moderate employment and income growth. Investment activity is projected to record a modest recovery underpinned by ongoing and new projects both in the public and private sectors. The country's new leadership needs to work hard and intensify efforts to restore investors' confidence. Now, according to Director at Centre of Research at the International Centre for Education in Islamic Finance, or INCEF, Associate Professor Dr. Baharum Abdul Hamid, this is because the economic performance of a country is closely linked to a political and social stability. Speaking to RTM, he opined that relevant existence policies from the previous administration should be maintained for the benefit of the rakyat.
Saya rasa Tan Sri Muhyiddin tidak perlu memperkenalkan sebarang polisi yang baru, tetapi teruskan dengan polisi-polisi yang lama, wawasan kemakmuran bersama yang telah dirangka agar pada tahun 2030 kita mempunyai satu rakyat Malaysia yang menikmati nikmat daripada kemakmuran negara, tidak mengira warna kulit, tidak mengira agama dan tidak mengira pendapatan.
He also hoped that the same commitment would be put towards the implementation of the economic stimulus package which was announced recently. The Prime Minister, he added, must be open and ready to appoint competent individuals by putting aside any political interest. This, he said, would send a positive signal to capital markets and thus restoring investors' confidence. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin was briefed on the country's economy and fiscal situation at his office in Perdana Putra, Putrajaya early today. And the briefing was conducted by high officials from the Finance and Economic Affairs Ministries. Amongst those who were present during the briefing, which began at 9:13 a.m., were Treasury Secretary General Tan Sri Ahmad Badri Mohamad Zahir, Economic Affairs Ministry Secretary General Dato' Saiful Anwar Labai Hussein, and Finance Ministry National Budget Office Director Johan Mahmud Merikan. Also present was Chief Secretary of the Government Dato' Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, following which Tan Sri Muhyiddin was also briefed by the Health Ministry's Special Task Force on COVID-19 status. Present during the second briefing was Dato' Sri Muhammad Zuki, Health Director General Dato' Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, Immigration Director General Dato' Khairul Zaimi Daud, Foreign Affairs Secretary General Dato' Sri M. Sharul Ikram Yaakob, and National Disaster Management Agency or NADMA Director General Dato' Mukhtar Muhammad Abdul Rahman. Labuan Liberty Terminal's container handling capacity is expected to increase by 5% to 10% per year following the takeover of its operation and facility management by Straits Interlogistics Berhad. Labuan Port Authority General Manager Zulkarnain Ayub said he hoped the new port operator could manage the port well and build another container yard to accommodate the additional tonnage. According to Zulkarnain, Straits Interlogistics Berhad has secured the operation and facility management of Labuan Liberty Terminal in the Federal Territory of Labuan for a period of 6 years. He added that the company had received a letter of award from the Labuan Port Authority for the port management services commencing 1st of April this year.
Exciting developments, everything.
The port operator are spending some amount in the tune of 5 to 6 million ringgit in the first 2 years. They cannot spend it later. They have to spend it today because we want to see the efficiency of the port improve today, not 2 or 3 years down the road.
Zulkarnain pointed out that the current port handling capacity of about 30,000 20-foot equivalent units is insufficient due to physical or space constraints and cannot handle more containers. He told this to reporters after an agreement signing ceremony for the operation and facility management of Labuan Liberty Terminal between Labuan Port Authority and Straits Interlogistics in Kuala Lumpur today. And with that, we conclude this evening's edition of News on 2. In our top story, 7 new COVID-19 cases detected. Join us for updates at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Adrian Seat. Thanks for watching.